I know what the ladies like. I know what the ladies like. Oh, I know what the ladies like.
Hello there, I'm Big Alias, and this is my voice, and it's going to be going over some gameplay. I was going to say what the name of the game is, but I really haven't decided what to play yet. So, you know, we got to talk about it. It's got to happen. It happened, and it happens every year. So we got to talk about E3. You know, it's a big deal. It's a big deal to me. I look forward to it every year, and I looked forward to it this year. I'm going to talk about that, and I also want to talk about the most important part, the part that I was hyping the most, the part I was shaking over, and it's not even an exaggeration. As the huge Halo fanboy that I am, and trust me, you know, Halo's my favorite series of all time. If you don't watch this channel regularly, then you won't know how obsessed I am with Halo. You know, Halo Infinite was going to be there, and it was going to be a huge deal, and I was massively excited for anything Halo Infinite. So let's talk about the E3. You know, I've got to do it. E3. Did I enjoy it? Did I like it? I was very 50-50 on it. I think that there were parts that excited me and parts that I was hugely disappointed with. The parts that excited me are the announcement. You know, things like, obviously I'm excited for Xbox Scarlet. The whole cloud gaming thing doesn't really interest me at all. It didn't excite me at all. Especially as I'm, you know, if you're on Virgin Media, then you know not to get excited about anything to do with cloud. So that didn't really pique my interest too much. But the Scarlet does. Apparently it's 4 times more powerful or something like that. So that was cool, and the Ultimate Game Pass, which I think is pretty much phenomenal. And as soon as the conference was over, for the Xbox conference was over, then I hopped straight on and I got that, and everybody I know did too. You know, it's great. I already pay for Game Pass, and I think I was paying £10 a month for it or something like that. So to get gold for an extra £1 a month, it was phenomenal. And I'm not trying to advertise for Xbox, because I think you're about to find out why. And I thought that was great, but I will say that I think the bits that disappointed me the most were obviously what disappointed the rest of the internet, which is, where the hell was the gameplay? I mean, it's a staple of E3. That's where you see what these games that have been teased throughout the year are actually like, and what they play like, and what information you can get. And alongside that, you get, you know, big announcements. I apologize for the windiness. If you can hear my blinds, that's because apparently there's a tornado, but it's not a very large one happening outside my window. So, but anyway, yeah. There were some big announcements, and there was a lot of meat on the bone. Apparently, they announced 60 different games. A lot of it was kind of throwaway for me. A lot of it happened very quickly. Some of the Idea Xbox stuff and the Lego Forza thing, which no, I mean, that's great for kids. I'm sure kids will enjoy it. Personally, for me, the idea of driving around in a Lego car is sort of, I couldn't think of anything more meh, but you know, it's not for me. It's not targeted at me. And there were some cool announcements. Just trying to think of any. But you know, I'd like the Gears of War trailer, but I will say that this lack of gameplay was huge. It was a huge disappointment for me. I mean, they had more Gears of War gameplay last year than they did this year. And one thing, you know, a staple of E3 for as long as I've been watching it, which I think is about 10 years now. I've been watching E3 for such a long time. Every year, Call of Duty are there with something. But I mean, in general, by now, you know, the game's coming out in October, and we know almost nothing about it. Even, like, Call of Duty are usually flooded with information before the release, and for any game, you usually have more information than we have now before release, and it's actually beginning to worry me that, you know, usually by now we've seen story gameplay, and we've seen multiplayer gameplay, and we've had a flood of information to whet our appetites. But we don't really have anything. They didn't come with anything. I mean, they bought a couple of screenshots that weren't even gameplay screenshots. It's crazy to me. You know, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but every year for the past 10 years, Activision have bought something, or at least the developers have bought something Call of Duty, and it's really strange to not have any Call of Duty at all. We have nothing at the moment, nothing to go by, aside for a 3D rendered trailer, which was admittedly great. I don't really... I think I know why they didn't bring any gameplay. Obviously, they have the new console coming out. I think a lot of things that say they're 2012 are going to be launch titles and stuff for 2012 with the new console. Obviously, you know, there's no way that Sony aren't going to bring a console out in the same year at the same time as Microsoft. So they're both going to be releasing their new consoles next year. And I think that a lot of it is because they don't there's a lot that they can't show yet because they don't really have everything figured out, and maybe Microsoft don't want to show off exactly what Scarlet can do right now. And I think maybe that's why they didn't bring so much gameplay, because people like, you know, Square Enix and stuff like that, and Nintendo bought gameplay with them, but again, not as much as there should be. And I think maybe that's the reason that Sony didn't turn up, is because they thought, well, if we just show people a bunch of trailers that we already have, then people are just going to get annoyed and it's going to feel like a cock tease, which it did with Microsoft, despite Keanu Reeves coming on the stage. But again, we've already seen lots of gameplay for Cyberpunk 2077, and we were given none this time. Absolutely none. They just had to sort of pull the gimmick of, hey, we got Keanu Reeves, which is great, but is a gimmick. So on the topic of... I'm going to get to it. On the topic of not having enough gameplay, we have Halo Infinite. The big moment. Firstly, fuck you, Microsoft. Seriously, fuck you, Microsoft and Phil Spencer and whoever's involved in making that the last moment of the conference. I understand that you wanted to leave everything to the end and have this big thing for people to come away with, a new console, and of course you wanted to bundle Halo with that, and that makes total sense to me. But I do think that it sort of rubbed people the wrong way, having to sit through things that they quite honestly probably didn't really care about in order to get to the thing, you know, one of the most anticipated things of E3, which is Halo Infinite. And I think people wouldn't have minded that as much if you had bought gameplay. But again, Infinite had no damn gameplay, and that is really annoying. I mean, we had a trailer last year, we had a teaser last year. Everybody was so ready to see what they're finally going to do, and I think Halo is one of those franchises where you really don't know... You don't know what you're going to be getting into, and I think it's something that's very precious to a lot of people, is that art style and that gameplay, that classic art style and gameplay that you don't really get as much with other titles. I mean, you've got things like Doom that is following the trajectory of the classic gameplay, but I don't think as many people care about that being classic as they do about Halo. There's this magical hold that the game has on us, you know, the big fans, that we just want back, and we haven't had back for such a long time, which is why I think, you know, gameplay is so important to us. And having to wait 2 hours for no gameplay, and of course a year and 2 hours, it's a huge blue ballsing moment, and I think that was a fuck up on their part. But maybe they don't have anything. So I am going to talk about the trailer, and I'm going to be brutally honest, and I'm going to be honest about how I felt watching it and how I feel about the trailer as a whole. At the start, I don't think much of the start of the trailer. I wasn't that impressed. I think that you could have, you know, their goal with this trailer was clearly to bring back those feelings that we had with the old Halo trailers and the old Halo reveals in games. And I think having that guy so central to the start of the trailer, for me, it kind of missed the mark, and I didn't feel as though I was even watching a Halo trailer. As a standalone trailer, I thought it was fantastic. I loved the way that the camera spun around and cut to him aging. I really didn't see that coming, and I thought that was great. And initially, I wondered if it even was a Halo trailer. However, that being said, the moment the Chief turned up, the moment the guy wiped the screen away and that piano key played and then everything booted up, it just turned on its head in a phenomenal way. I got really excited. I began to shake. I'm going to be honest. You know, I was being totally honest about how I felt watching the trailer. I got quite emotional, and I began to shake seeing that armor. You know, let's initially talk about the armor. I think the armor is fucking perfect. I think it is tremendous. Don't touch it, 343. Leave it as it is. I think it is tremendous. There are a few people in the Halo community that I follow on things like Instagram saying that it looked too plasticky. One guy even saying that it looked like a Fortnite skin. You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. This suit is exactly what we were asking for. They are complete, and this fills me with so much hope. They completely gave us exactly what we wanted with this suit. It looks like the old school Halo suit with a few bits bolted onto it, up-resed and brought into the modern day. That is exactly what I wanted from the suit, and I think it is absolutely perfect. The design is gorgeous. I heard that well, actually, I've noticed, you know, I've seen a lot of posts about how it is very similar to the one from Halo Legends, which was the anime film that told several stories. It's a great film. And I would agree with that. I think it looks very similar, but it does look gorgeous. It is fantastic, and I'm so grateful that 343 were listening to the community when it comes to that. With regards to him being on the ship, I got slightly worried because it felt kind of like Halo 4, and I really didn't like Halo 4. If you see my top Halo games rundown, you know how much I disliked Halo 4. And I did get some Halo 4 vibes on there, because it was the sort of lost out on a ship, alone on a ship kind of situation going on in that trailer, and it did kind of take me back to the Halo 4 trailer. But after thinking about it some more and seeing the trailer a few more times, I think the pacing really saves it, because yes, he is trapped out in a spaceship, but the issues that I had with 4 were not that he was stuck in a ship. It was more to do with the pacing of the trailer. It was way too fast, and the music was completely off. It was not Halo at all. So I'm okay with it. I think it would have been better if we had had him, you know, maybe not lost out in space. Or listen, I like the military aspect of Halo, and I love all of the, you know, all of the different squad mates and stuff like that, and the banter and Johnson G'ing them up, and you know, they're some of my favorite moments in Halo. So seeing that you were alone again out in this ship was a little bit disappointing. Though I am glad that we didn't see the return of a lot of those previous ancillary characters from Halo 5 that no one really liked, no one really gelled with. And then of course, you know, everything boots, and you kind of see the world around you. That art style, I don't know. I feel like I really don't have a grasp on it, and I don't think that's what it's really going to look like as a whole. We haven't seen outdoor environments or anything like that. But then he moves forward, and we get that musical cue, and we get that shot of the Halo ring. And I'm just thinking about it. You can hear the breaking of my voice. That shot was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen on a TV screen. That was so beautiful, and it was unexpected as well. And you know, one thing I will say about 343 to their credit is a lot of this stuff was unexpected, and you know, the musical cue comes in. The music in this trailer was so perfect. I have to, you know, good credit to whoever composed that. Apparently the guy who composed this will be composing the game, and what we saw in there was part of the soundtrack, and I'm very, very, very happy about that, because clearly the soundtrack sort of draws inspiration, a lot of inspiration from the original soundtrack. You know, you get a lot of the string sections which sound like previous string sections, you know, the best parts of the previous soundtracks, but updated, and the keys are slightly changed and stuff like that to fit different moods. So it's similar, but it is also different and its own thing. And you get a lot of the drum, the sort of, I don't know what kind of drums it is, but you know, percussion drums that you got a lot of in Halo 1 and 2, things like when you approach jackals and stuff like that, and grunts, more light-hearted stuff. There's influences of that in there too, and I think the music in this was so perfect, and please do not change that direction with the music. I think my favorite part of the music was that last shot where he moves through the installation, and again, it's just like the Halo 3 soundtrack, but just slightly different. And I think the fact that it was so familiar, and yet this new journey that I know that we're taking on in my mind, I think that excited me even more, to know that we're bringing these old, you know, beautiful old moments into the new journey. I really like that. And then he picks up the assault rifle. Apparently this is the Reach assault rifle. I didn't know. It doesn't look like it to me. Every time I look at it, I don't see the Reach assault rifle. I remember the Reach assault rifle being black and very sort of overly detailed. Personally, I kind of hope it isn't the Reach, but apparently it is. I'd be okay with that, honestly, but I like the design, the sort of slicker design of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But, you know, I'd still be happy if it's the Reach assault rifle. I'm sure it still behaves the same. And, of course, you know, we get the quip where he says, "No, we don't need to run, we need to fight," or, you know, "No, we need to fight." Which of course again calls back to that old, to the older trilogy of Halo. And then he, you know, goes to the end of the ship, and then we get a shot of him in the installation, which is redesigned to look more like the original trilogy, but updated again. I'm so fucking happy about that, and the conversation that he has with, well, what Cortana says, which is a throwback to the start of Halo 3. That half of the trailer was so perfect. It was honestly absolutely perfect, and I felt very emotional watching it, and I think I may have even begun to get a tear in my eye. I was shaking, and it was just as a Halo fan, as a diehard Halo fan, who, you know, Halo is my favorite franchise of all time, bar anything, you know, the TV, gaming, or film, anything like that. It is my favorite franchise of all time, and to see those old influences brought into the new game was just incredible for me. The way this trailer made me feel is a way that I haven't felt about the Halo universe since Halo 3. And I liked Reach and I liked ODST, but Halo 3 was the last time that I felt as though I was a part of the Halo universe, a part of that universe. As much as I liked Reach, I didn't feel as though I was entering into that universe. And as Halo fans, we have a connection with Halo that we don't have with other games. I've always said that the thing I love about Halo the most is the world around what happens. And playing Halo is unlike playing any other game. You know, when I play Battlefield and I play Call of Duty, they're totally different games, but I don't feel any different playing them. Even when I play Battlefield versus Gears of War or Call of Duty versus, I don't know, Forza, you know, I don't feel as though there is this. It still feels like I'm playing games, and you know, I love the world, but the way that Halo feels is just so different. Those first 3 games, the world around you is just so visceral, but so separate from everything else. And that's why I say my favorite thing about the original Halo trilogy is the world around you and the way that it feels separated from everything else. Because when I play Halo, when I play that original trilogy, it's not just nostalgia, because, you know, playing Call of Duty 4 is similar to playing I don't know, Battlefield Bad Company 1, you know, but Halo is different. Halo is just 1, 2, and 3 just have this completely different feeling when you play them. When you enter that world, it's just access to a world that you don't get access from any other game, and it's really hard to explain. If you're a Halo fan, then you know what I'm talking about probably. And I haven't felt that way since Halo 3. I mean, as I said, Reach is great, ODST I absolutely love to death, 4 I didn't like, and 5 was okay, but none of them have ever felt like I'm getting access to that world. And the amazing thing, the best thing, the most beautiful thing about this Halo Infinite trailer was that for the first time since Halo 3, I actually feel as though I am entering back into that world. Just by means of the trailer, that trailer has given me access, all new access, 12 years later, to a world that I thought I'd left behind all of those years ago, and a world that I absolutely love. So I love the Halo Infinite trailer to death. It made me feel great, and you know, I have to thank 343, even if they fuck up the gameplay, which I refuse to show off still, for giving me that feeling back. And they've actually managed to do it. And I think it's through the music, through the old school, you know, art design of the installation, through the old armor set. I think everything coming together, the old shield boosting sounds, everything coming together really gave me access into that world that I haven't been able to have for a very long time. So the Halo Infinite trailer was phenomenal. Thank you so much, and I think it marks what I think to be a very positive direction into the new era, to the new what do you call it, generation. That's the one. We got Modern Warfare going back to its roots, and we got Halo going back to its roots, and I can see Battlefield doing the same. I predict that Bad Company 3 will happen, and it will happen soon. And yeah, things seem to be generally quite positive. We've got Jedi Fallen Order, which I think a lot of people are confusing. They're saying it's quite clunky and slow. Well, it's an E3 demonstration. They have to play it slow, and this is not how you're going to be playing the game. You can trust me. I guarantee it will be smoother than you think it is. But we have these single player experiences. We have, you know, as I said, Halo making me feel like Halo again, Call of Duty feeling like Call of Duty again, and I think this is a real positive step in the right direction. Despite the fact that we didn't experience any gameplay and we weren't really given enough information, I do think that I have come away from E3 and just sort of gaming as a whole for the past couple of months. I think I've come away very positive. It is good. And I'm very happy to say that, especially when, you know, almost this time last year I was talking about how negative gaming felt. I feel as though it's really flipped on its head. And you got things like Doom Eternal, by the way, which looks, again, we saw gameplay that we kind of seen before, but that looks so phenomenal. Yeah, I'm really happy to be saying this. It's really great. So if you want more positive news and you want me to continue being happy about things, then I guess I'll make more videos about that. But I don't know. I will see you in the next video, and thank you so much for listening to me ramble on and get all emotional about Halo. I do that a lot, you know, so well, I guess I'll see you later.
I've got the mask.
Solid copy. Hit him on, boss.
You're on your own, Noble. Corner out.
Crevice to the east. Let's go.